this week, ladies and gents. Welcome to a new episode of Beyond the Curtain Wrestling Podcast, reviewing All Elite Wrestling Dynamite that took place as of this recording tonight, Wednesday, June the 17th, 2020. Of course, these go up the next day, usually around 1 p.m. Eastern time. But we do record these literally as soon as Dynamite goes off the air. Joining me, as usual, the host of the Takin the Bump podcast, James Beatley, sir. How the hell are you doing?
I'm good, but you got it wrong. It's the man host of the Takin the Bump podcast.
Yeah, that thing. Apparently I said that once, and that's the thing, and I don't remember it. But the man host.
The man host.
You made that a shirt. The man host. Not the woman host, not the host, but the man host.
Certified G. Shout out to Enzo Amore.
He's representing a WWE shirt on an AEW podcast.
I'm a certified G. What can I say?
You ain't no certified G, and I ain't no bona fide stud. You can't teach none of that.
Anyway, I'm good. I'm good.
Good.
It's been a good day, you know. It's
been a day. It's been a day for sure.
And we had a good episode of Dynamite to go.
It was pretty solid. I will say that. It was solid, and we're going to get into that. Shout out to my 5-year-old daughter now. She turned 5 today as of this recording, June the 17th. She's been in bed since 8 o'clock. She doesn't get to stay up and watch Dynamite, but sorry. Standards and practices. Got to put her in bed by 8. But happy birthday to you, Savannah. I think she liked her gifts. I don't know. She got a lot. She's going to be getting a lot this weekend, too. So that kid's going to have enough toys to play with until Christmas before she gets bored with them again.
Mm-hmm.
So, Dynamite. AEW.
Dynamite.
WEA. Wrestling Elite All Elite Wrestling. Whatever you want to call it. Dynamite. Interesting show. And we kicked it off with a great match. It was a tag team championship match. Kenny Omega, Hangman Page versus the Natural Nightmares. There's so many nightmare shit. I don't remember what it's what. QT Marshall, Dustin Rhodes with Brandy, of course, at their side. I honestly thought this was one of the best tag team matches on Dynamite since its inception on October the 2nd of last year. Dustin Rhodes is just as good, if not better, than he's ever been. And he's 51 years old, ladies and gentlemen. In the best shape of his life. Even that little noggin crunch that he had with Kenny there towards the beginning of the match, that did not slow him down. It took a few minutes to kind of breathe, like QT kind of do his thing. But Dustin shook it off, got back in the match. This match had all sorts of stuff, from the aerial moves to the ground and pound to the brawling to the grappling to fisticuffs to clotheslines, which, by the way, Hangman Page has got to be one of the best at clotheslines. He is this generation's JBL, and that's a good thing, I think. But great way to open up the show. Omega and Hangman retained the tag team championships. They will be defending them against the winner of the main event tonight, Best Friends versus Les Sex Gods. But overall, really good match, really good way to start the show. What did you think of this?
You know, I agree. It was a good tag team match. It was almost, in my opinion, a good pay-per-view quality tag team match. And it seems like when the title's on the line, they always do put out good tag team matches, or matches in general when the title's on the line in AEW. And I did also like and pointed out in my notes, because I actually took notes tonight, the athleticism of Dustin. Something that near the end of his run, it's kind of hard to remember his final run in WWE, but they didn't utilize him athletically. They just he kind of was a jobber at that point in his run. But he can go with everybody, and he looks like he's in the best shape of his end of his career, and could keep going. And that's why I'm okay with him not at this retirement stage. The whole flaunting of him retiring, I think he provides a good he is a good reputable guy to be able to put over talent. That's something that AEW really does well, is they have guys that are kind of the end of their career that will put over talent. And I enjoy that. I like that a lot. And then, yeah, like you said, that Hangman, I don't know what it is about him when he does his clotheslines, but it just, compared to literally like anybody else in the wrestling world, anywhere, WWE, Impact, whatever, his clotheslines just seem to have more of an impact, more of a detriment to the opponent. Kind of like JBL. I hope that's the only thing that he resembles from JBL, because if he is anything like JBL in the locker room, that's not a good thing.
True.
But yeah, good match, good way to open it. Kind of shocking that they started this match, but I like that they set a good tone for the night. And who doesn't like to see Kenny and Hangman compete? Didn't Kenny like your tweet?
Kenny Omega did like my tweet. That was my highlight of tweeting tonight. Was Kenneth Omega liked my tweet, which is fantastic, and I enjoyed that.
Mm-hmm.
We get a nice little promo of Anna Jay kind of introducing us to her more. Since all these injuries are happening in the women's division, we had Britt Baker, who got hurt about a month ago, who will be out until right around All Out, maybe late August, early September. Chris Statlander tore her ACL, last week, so she'll be out for a while. Starting to get a little thin here with the women's division, especially the two of the top talents in the women's division. So we gotta do something about that. So,
but it's a good opportunity,
right?
For
and that's the good thing.
These talent that they have signed, but I don't think they've necessarily used yet, or they're using on Dark, like we'll see in this next match. And I want to say real quick, I was impressed, and I feel like Tony Khan listened to the show and took my advice, because if you watched AEW Dark last night, there were like 4 women's matches on Dark. So, Tony, if you're listening, thank you.
I think both of us have been clamoring a lot for having women's doing something, whether it's the second show that they're doing and it is mainly women's, or if it's Dark and they portray more of the women's stuff on there. I don't know. Maybe this Dark being an hour and a half long is a prelude, which a lot of the Darks recently have been double Darks, I guess. They've been doing about an hour and a half long episodes.
Right.
I think that's to get it hyped up for eventually its run from YouTube to TNT.
Right.
So maybe that's what we've been seeing a lot more of, and I appreciate the fact that there's been a lot more women's segments, matches on that show.
Right.
They need to be portrayed more.
Right.
Anyways, we got a nice little promo before this match of Anna Jay, kind of introducing more of us to her, who she is, her background, stuff like that. Then she goes out to the ring, where we're like, okay, probably going to face maybe, I don't know, one of these chicks that...
I was honestly thinking someone like a Danny Jordan or a Kenzie Page, or one of these indie girls that they're kind of using on Dark to kind of... that haven't signed, but I actually like the woman that they chose to...
Yeah. But I thought it was going to be, an easy win since they were kind of pushing her a little bit here.
Right.
And then Abaddon comes out.
Like she came out of a fucking Stephen King book.
This is one scary chick.
Yeah.
I'm actually petrified of her. This is like The Ring come to life. Is The Ring and The Grudge the same movie? I don't think they are.
I have no idea.
I don't think so. Anyways, it's a mixture of hell, and if there's anything worse than hell, they just show up. But Abaddon comes out, and I'm like, boy, that's an odd opponent for Anna Jay to have, since we just built her up with this promo, and then she gets demolished.
Yeah.
In like less than 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So that build-up was for nothing. So,
well, I wouldn't say it's necessarily for nothing, because the segment we got afterwards, where Dark Order comes out, and basically, I think they killed 2 birds with 1 stone with that.
That's a good point, and that's a good point. So Abaddon beats Anna Jay. Dark Order comes out. They hand an envelope, I believe, to Colt Cabana, And then they take Anna Jay, kind of put her arms on their shoulders and carry her to the back. Indication that they're now looking for female recruits, which is something that we're not really expecting from the Dark Order. Not to say that we can't have females in there, but I didn't really think they would be using females at all. So, Anna Jay portrayed as the first female recruit for Dark Order. Be interesting to see. Anyways, Abaddon officially made it known on Twitter that she is now All Elite. She is signed to AEW, which is good.
Right.
Definitely is a different character, something we need more of in this women's division. So anything to help bolster up this women's division, especially with the absence of Britt and Chris Statlander. Interesting segment all around between the promo of the match and then the follow-up after the match was just an interesting little spin there that I don't think we were ready to see. Not like it was bad, but we weren't expecting that, and it was interesting to see. So, yeah, interesting.
Yeah, it was an interesting match, and like you said, I think we all were kind of in the mindset that, you know, they're pushing for Anna Jay. That maybe it's because we're used to kind of like the WWE mindset of when they push this. Push somebody or they promote somebody, they give them a video package. That means they're probably going to get a quick, easy win to gain notoriety. But I think, like I said, this kills two birds with one stone. And I actually love the fact that the Dark Order is going after a female base, because I think to portray the idea that the Dark Order is some kind of like cult, I think that's what they're trying to portray it as. I think they need to kind of infiltrate every single division in AEW. So you get Colt Cabana, and that the hands him and then envelope there, assumingly a contract to either a match or a contract to be in the Dark Order. I'm gonna say the Dark Circle, but the Dark Order.
Either way.
And then they didn't necessarily say Anna Jay was being recruited, but they helped her out of the ring. I think it was a great way to say, you know what, we're going to take people who really want or who are kind of down on their luck, and we're going to use them for our benefit. And you know, because the one person I guess I've heard people compare the Dark Order to is kind of like Waco. What's that guy's name?
David Koresh.
David Koresh. And he didn't just target men; he targeted men and women. So I think if they want to portray it as a powerful cult, it should be able to be universal, and I like it.
As long as it doesn't actually end up like Waco. I don't mean the end result of that, but I mean David Koresh sleeping with all the women.
Oh, yeah. Let's not do that. But let's not have the end result either.
Yeah, that's not.
Yeah.
Moving on, we get to MJF versus Billy. I did not get to see a whole lot of this because I had a 5-year-old that did not want to sleep tonight. But, hey, it's all good. I kind of figured MJF would win anyways, but I did not really see the match, so I don't know exactly what happened.
But luckily, you had a co-host who did watch the match.
This is why you're here. To fill in the parts of that 5 minutes.
Fill in the void. So, no, the match was actually pretty good. And Billy actually, he kind of had the upper hand for, I would say, the first 3 to 4 minutes of the match. And then, I believe while they were in picture-in-picture, Billy went for a move and hit his knee, one of his knees, against the ring post, effectively in making him only able to stand on one leg. MJF took control, and then right when Billy was about to make his comeback, and he got MJF down, Wardlow interfered with the ref, distracted the ref, and threw the AEW Diamond Ring. I forgot what they fucking called that thing. The MJF won, and MJF put it on. Wardlow then attacked Austin Gunn. Billy got upset at that, came and chased down Wardlow and beat him up a little bit. Comes back in the ring, and MJF hits him with the Diamond Ring, knocks him out. MJF wins. It was a good match. I like the story. It pushes MJF as one of the top heels in the company. It's just weird calling Billy just Billy. But we get WWE have to be some bitches.
Petty.
Have to be some petty bitches. Have to be some Karens out there. You know. But yeah, it was a good match, and after the match though was actually a pretty good part. And I almost forgot about this until I looked at my notes. Good thing I took down notes on this match. Where the Jurassic Express come out, and Luchasaurus specifically attacks Wardlow, which we get to see next week on AEW in a lumberjack match, which I think would be the first lumberjack match in AEW history.
I believe so, yep.
And melee spreads, locker rooms cleared. It kind of looked like a baseball fight with like Yasiel Puig. And then they cut to commercial, and we get back and, well, next segment. And what is that next segment, sir?
That next segment would be where Britt Baker is on her Rolls Royce, and Tony Schiavone is interviewing her. Britt says they need a friendship timeout and tells Rebel, whatever you want to call her, to drive off and get out of there. Except Reba is not driving the golf cart, the Rolls Royce, whatever you want to call it. It's actually Big Swole. And takes her away, calls her a mother heifer. There was a bunch of different... before that, Britt had actually told... was feeding notes to Tony Schiavone during most of the show before this, and actually had sent a card up to Tony during the Abaddon Anna Jay match that said at Abaddon... what did I say? What was the tweet? The tweet was... Give me a second. I'll say it. Britt has said, this broad needs to find Jesus.
Yes.
Probably the quote of the year, in my opinion. That was phenomenal. But yeah, Big Swole leads her away and just takes her onto a goose chase around Daly's place to where eventually Reba finds her. And just Britt goes off saying, where have you been? It's been 5 hours. And Reba was like, it's been 1. To text Tony Schiavone to get out there. She's in a dumpster. Her makeup's smeared. She looks like she's been ran over by a raccoon or whatever, and needed help out of the dumpster. She fired Reba and then said, hold on, wait, you need to get back here and be rehired. Ask her where she was. Reba said she was in the bathroom. Britt said, nope, can't be in the bathroom. It's going to be 24/7, 365 job. No bathroom breaks, nothing. So,
right.
Fun segment. Britt is just making these segments work. Her heel work is very good. And, man, even with her being injured, it just shows how well she's still, as a character, it's very good. So I enjoyed all that segment and thought it was very good. And good for AEW for using her while she's still injured. And interesting to see what happens for next with...
Right.
The Doctor.
Britt she's a genius. And I don't know. Again, every week I have to admit to you that I was wrong in the beginning of her heel run. But she's just a genius when it comes to promo ability and just doing all of this stuff, trying to say that she's in this dumpster for 5 hours. When we know that it hasn't been 5 hours, and the little snarky remark from Rebel saying that it's only been an hour or whatnot, just really good, and it really is a testament to what you can do, even if you're not in the ring, you can still use characters to develop a story. So obviously we know Britt's coming back at All Out, and it looks like they're building to Britt versus Swole, which I think would be a great match regardless. And the fact that they're able to use Britt with all of this and the Rolls Royce and all of this other things that they're doing with her, and Shivani and all of that, and then for Shivani and Britt and all of them to act in character, like on social media, like right after that segment where Tessa's saying to call Shivani tweeted, "Why is Rebel blowing my phone up?" or something like that. And I like how they're able to interact with the on-screen stuff and then the social media aspect. It makes it feel more real. And we know it's I don't want it to be like, oh, well, I don't know it's scripted. We all know it is, but when you're able to interact on multiple different facets, then you're able to kind of portray it as more realistic than it could be. And I appreciate the effort that AEW puts in every single week to develop a product that's as realistic as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's good work from everybody, from Tony to Rebel to Britt, Big Swole, all the parties involved. It's very entertaining. This is why the women's need more than just 1 or 2 segments on the show. It actually got more than one or two segments on the show, which is great. And with Dynamite or with Dark last night, they got a few matches as well. So they've definitely got some good stuff going for the women's division, and I hope it just carries on for future shows.
Right.
Up next, we've got the TNT Championship match. It was Cody versus an unnamed opponent. Somebody that we were told was not AEW exclusive, so it was outside of AEW. Turned out to be Ricky Starks, a guy that used to be an NWA TV champion, big name on the indies. I was actually looking forward to this because I thought this was going to be a pretty good match, and I ain't gonna lie to you, it disappointed me. I thought it was a little sloppy. I think Ricky was a little sloppy in the ring tonight. Cody's and his styles did not mesh well, in my opinion.
Now, sir.
Just wasn't impressed with the match. I wasn't. Cody ended up winning. I mean, you kind of knew that was going to happen. He retained the title. He's going to be facing Hager at Fyter Fest, so we kind of knew he was going to win. But
do I smell a little bit of a bias?
How's that bias? Just because I don't like Cody doesn't mean that I don't like his matches. No. Cody's had great matches before. He really has. His match with MJF for Revolution was good. His match with Jericho at Full Gear was really good. The first Dynamite show with him and Guevara was good. Him and his brother at Double or Nothing last year was good. Spears' match was at All Out last year, but Cody overall, him and Darby a couple times. He has really good matches for the most part. Him and Jungle Boy last week or 2 weeks ago was very good. But this match it didn't click for me. Didn't really care for it.
I feel a little bit of a bias.
I don't. I just gave you 13 matches that I enjoyed from him, so I don't know where the bias comes from.
I have this feeling that there's still a little bit of bias in this because I actually thought it was. I'm not going to say it was like match of the year candidate, but it was a pretty decent match. Obviously, Cody. We all knew Cody was going to win this match. This is going to be a great way for Cody to introduce new talent once we get into like July and all of these ex-WWE guys and their 90-day no compete clause. We will probably see people like Brian Myers, which was Kurt Hawkins, and Matt Cardona, which was Zack Ryder, and some of these other guys. I actually like the idea that these guys are free agents and they're just doing one-offs because AEW doesn't necessarily have to sign any of these guys to have them on their show. So, and then that anticipation building up of like who's going to be on the show the next week. I think that build-up really can get people interested, which is why I think people are really interested for Impact Slammiversary coming up next month because of all the hype that they're putting into who they've signed. But the match itself, it wasn't like the greatest match in the world, and Cody has had better matches, but it wasn't shit. It wasn't an awful match by say. I don't think it was necessarily super sloppy. But I guess to each their own. I still feel like there's a little bit of a bias in your decision.
I don't like Cody's character, but I'm not afraid to admit when somebody has a good match or has a good storyline or has a good promo, something like that. Cody's great at doing promos. He's very passionate, very emotional. I like that. He delivers on that. He talks people into the building. His pay-per-view matches have been pretty stellar for the most part. I have some slight bias because I don't like him, but I really try to look at it as, okay, what do I like about this match? What don't I like about it? Did I think it was good? Did I not think it was good? I try to go about it that way. But either way, I think that his match with Hager at Fyter Fest will be a lot better than this match tonight. And interested to see how that match will go in a couple weeks. The next match we get to is another tag team match. The Super Bad Squad, Kip Sabian, Jimmy Havoc versus the Young Bucks, Matt and Nick Jackson. This was a pretty good match, I thought. Featured a little bit of everything from a little bit of a weaponry to high flying, Penelope Ford interfering. FTR comes out, Butcher and Blade gets involved. I mean, this match had everything that was thrown together for it. Pretty solid match, I thought, here. Pretty solid tag team match. The Young Bucks ended up getting the win over Sabian and Havoc, and a lot of false finishes and close pinfalls. In the end, the Young Bucks did get the win. After the match, Butcher and the Blade go to beat up the Young Bucks, and of course, FTR comes in to help them out. They both do their kind of finishing moves to one member of Butcher and the other was Blade. Interesting dichotomy there. I mean, they are slowly building this up to an eventual match between FTR and the Young Bucks. God, I hope AEW do the right thing. Don't put this match on any one of these nights on Fyter Fest. I understand you want to get the big rating. I understand that you want to draw the number, and it will draw a number. But come on now. Don't do a WWE of the past 5 years. Don't do the WCW of the late 90s, early 2000s. Draw a number out of this. And what I mean by that is draw pay-per-view buys. You guys drew phenomenally for Double or Nothing in May.
Right.
You've got a pay-per-view coming up in August. I understand it's 2 months out. We can wait 2 months. I can wait another 2 months for this to slowly build to a great match that will feature a lot of great promos, a lot of action, and will lead to a great match that I know I will remember. Save it for All Out.
Right.
I love the little teases here and there, and to build it up, that's fine. It works because you're going to clamor people to wanting to see this match more and more and more as the weeks pass by, as long as it's done right. And I think it is to this point. Just don't overdo it. Which I don't think they are so far. Just save this match for All Out. Please, God, do. But, good match overall. Good segment here. And hopefully these 4 teams somehow intertwine with each other like an 8-man tag. Or Butcher and Blade versus Young Bucks. And then, Super Bad Squad versus FTR. Something like that to not make it to where FTR and Young Bucks face off. I don't want that yet. If we can avoid that at all costs until All Out, I'll be a happy man.
No, and I agree. We need to save that for a bigger stage, a stage. And I don't want to say that Fyter Fest isn't a big stage because I think it can be. It's a TV pay-per-view, so I mean, they're going to pull out all the stops that they can, and I don't think they'll really put this in for Fyter Fest. Though they might. I hope they don't. I think the same reason that I think this should wait for All Out is the same reason that I think AEW is going to push Jericho versus Mike Tyson to All Out is buy rate.
Absolutely.
You're going to push a good buy rate if you can advertise FTR versus Young Bucks for All Out. Biggest pay. it's either the biggest pay-per-view of their calendar year or their second biggest pay-per-view of their calendar year, depending on how people view it, if Double or Nothing is their biggest one or not. But it is one of your big 2 pay-per-views of the year. You need a good card. You need a stacked card. I think if you can have a card that is kind of headlined by, I think Moxley will beat Brian Cage. That's just my opinion. So it'll probably be Moxley versus somebody headlining, and then you can have kind of the middle of the card be Young Bucks versus FTR. And even if I think what they should do, my opinion would be, is night 1 of Dynamite have we have Omega and Hangman fighting the winner of our main event tonight. We'll get to that. I don't want to spoil it early. Whoever wins that match, night 2, should fight FTR, in my opinion, or the Young Bucks, in my opinion, for the tag belts. And then if Hangman and Kenny were to retain night 1 of Fyter Fest, have them drop the belts night 2 of Fyter Fest to, like, say, FTR. And that way, now you have big name match that's been waiting for years with title stakes on the line at All Out. I think that would be the best way for them to push the Young Bucks FTR feud to the best of their limits.
I can see that. I don't necessarily agree with giving FTR a title run this early. Young Bucks, we've seen them versus Omega and Page. Would I not want to watch it again? No, I would like to, of course. But either way, I don't think you necessarily need the title at the moment to draw that match, because so many people want to watch it anyways. I think if you want to do a 2 or 3, then you can put the titles on the line for sure. But yeah, I think that this could be a long drawn out feud if FTR stays with AEW for a year or 2. This could be a long drawn out one where they could have FTR versus Young Bucks All Out.
Right.
2 could be at, say, Full Gear.
Mm-hmm.
And then you don't do it at Revolution the next year if that's still the name of your pay-per-views. Wait till Double or Nothing. Don't do back to back to back. Give me the first 2, be like, all right, you got one, we need to have revenge. And then the other team wins. And then you don't do it immediately after on that 3rd pay-per-view. You wait to build that up like a little bit again to say, hey, our paths are going to cross here again.
Right.
We'll see you down the road. And then they kind of go their separate ways. FTR or the Young Bucks win the titles. And then the other team kind of clamors to say, now they have something I want. Right. Even though we just beat them, we're tied 1-1. Now we need a rubber match, and now they got the titles. I need to build that up. I think it's a little bit better of a storyline, but of course, everybody has their opinions. But either way, just wait till we get to All Out to get this match, AEW. Please.
Right, and I think if you put it on, I don't want to call FTR. I don't want to call Fyter Fest a non-important pay-per-view, because I think there could be, and I think if we weren't under COVID situations, it would be a decent showing for what it would have been.
Yeah.
But I guess you can say this would be the equivalent of like doing, if you would have had, I don't know, I'm trying to think of a feud that people wanted to see for the longest of time. And then, or like everybody was clamoring for Drew McIntyre to win the WWE belt. If they would have had him win it at like Night of Champions, it wouldn't have meant as much as when he won it at WrestleMania, because everybody views WrestleMania as the biggest night in WWE's calendar year. So that's all I want to see is you need to have whenever this big match that everybody wants to see happens, if it's for the title or if it's not for the title, it just needs to happen at something that is perceived as a more important night than normal.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And we shall see what happens with creative regarding that. We get to our main event of the show, LASIX Gods versus Best Friends. The winner of this goes on to face Hangman Page and Omega at Fyter Fest for the AEW World Tag Team Championship. Back and forth match. Trent and Chucky show why they're probably one of the best tag teams in AEW. Their work rate is so good. and it's amazing how their chemistry is very good, but they're both really good separate as well. But they're, put them together in a tag team, they're very good. And of course, Jericho and Guevara, that good heel tag team, part of Inner Circle, so, they're going to try to every cost to win a match. Surprised Santana and Ortiz didn't interfere, or Hager, just because they're Inner Circle. You would feel like that group would have had more of an interference. The Bat didn't make an appearance. They tried to beat up both Chucky and Trent with that, but to no avail. In the end, Orange Cassidy was dressed as a cameraman, tripped up Chris Jericho, scored the pinfall for Trent and Best Friends, so they win and will face Hangman Page and Omega at Fyter Fest in a few weeks for the tag team titles. OC then drops the camera, takes off the shirt, shows that he is Orange Cassidy, and beats the hell out of Chris Jericho to end the show. And we hear from the announce team, officially signed at Fyter Fest is Chris Jericho versus Orange Cassidy. I can only imagine what the marks with the wrestling community, with the IWC, how blown up their heads are regarding this. But right call, right decision. Good match to end the show on. Love the tag team being featured here in AEW. It's awesome to see tag team wrestling being alive in this company. But good show overall. Good way to end the main event and to end the show as well. And we're steamrolling here towards Fyter Fest.
Yeah, it's only 2 weeks away, which...
hard to believe.
I found myself was like, good gosh, July's popping so quickly.
Yes, it is.
And I actually kind of like that because I have like 9 days off in July this year. So not a bad month for me. But a couple things that I noted during this match. One, next week Matt Hardy fights Sammy Guevara in a singles match. And if you paid attention on commentary, Matt Hardy said that he will let Sammy Guevara pick what version of Matt Hardy he gets to fight against. I think that's a cool stipulation, something that I haven't really seen done.
Only Matt Hardy can get 3 characters over at once.
Right. And only Chris Jericho can get a drone over in a fight.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And so I kind of like the idea that they're keeping Matt Hardy and Sammy Guevara a thing, even after the Stadium Stampede and even after like Inner Circle and the Elite have kind of broken away. Matt Hardy is showing, you know what? So it's cool that like one version of Matt is doing this to protect Sammy from Jericho, and the other version of Matt Hardy is doing this because he just wants to destroy Sammy Guevara.
Right.
And so I think it'll be interesting to see how all the versions of Matt Hardy come together, and I think it'll be a great match that we'll see next week. Also, I knew we were going to get an Orange Cassidy appearance. I was actually kind of stoked to see him do the cameraman trick. And then, like, once we got to the ending and I can't remember which one. I think, was it Sammy that tripped over the cameraman? Yeah. Once we saw Sammy trip, I was like, that's Orange Cassidy. That has to be Orange Cassidy. And they were pulling close to 10 o'clock before this match ended. I was oh my goodness, I don't know if they're going to be able to pull it all off. And they got it all done in time. Twitter exploded. Everybody is happy about Jericho versus OC. You would think some people would be upset, like, oh my gosh, this is a stupid match. But everybody was wanting it for the past 2 or 3 weeks now. We got it. We have it. Some people are kind of upset that they want Tyson versus Jericho at Fyter Fest. But you can get a bigger buy rate if you push that all out. Like, Jericho's not going to be in the main title picture anymore. Let's put a big marquee name feud on your card. Let it be one of the beginner matches in the card, or a buy-in match, or something. Well, I would put it on the main card because that's what people are going to buy the pay-per-view for. And we don't want to pull that WCW stuff and advertise a match and then not even have it take place.
Just had to bring it up, didn't you?
But I think that's the time for that. The time for Fyter Fest, because it's on Wednesday, it's on free TV. This is the perfect time to have Jericho fight Orange Cassidy. And I would love if Orange Cassidy got a win.
Wouldn't that be something?
That would be great.
Wouldn't that be something? Overall, man, give me the 2 thumbs as usual. What you think of Dynamite? I'm going the old 1 1/4 thumb tonight.
I got 1.5.
All right.
1.5.
What did the old Twitter ski? What did you guys out there on Twitter Nation say about Dynamite tonight? 54% of you said you watched Dynamite. 23% of you said you watch NXT, and 23% of you said you didn't watch either one of them. Of that, 73% of you guys that watched AEW said that you enjoyed it. 9% of you had a thumbs down with it. And that 9, of course, said they preferred NXT. So appreciate you guys for those couple polls that I put out on Twitter tonight. Appreciate your feedback as always. So overall, pretty much seemed like a very good favorable night for AEW on my side. I know you put up a poll as well.
I did. I put up a poll. What was
the results of that, sir?
Poll was pretty simple. Did you enjoy Dynamite? Or did you not enjoy Dynamite? Third option, did you watch NXT? I had 65% of people say they enjoyed Dynamite. I would say that's pretty good. Only 4% said they didn't enjoy AEW, which, okay, you didn't. And then 31% of people watched NXT. I think those numbers are pretty close to the ratings that come out every week. AEW is slightly on top by a little bit of fans, especially in the demographic of what most Twitter users are. The 18 to
39 range or something.
Yeah, the 41 or whatever range. Yeah. So, by far, it looks like AEW. Everybody enjoyed it for what I can tell. I got a massive following tonight. I've gained literally up to the date 33 followers in the past 2 hours. So get me to 300. I'm at 265. So if the pace keeps going by the end of the night, I might get 300.
There you go.
But you can follow me and get me to 300 and get me to catch up to this guy at BtheC Podcast. You can follow my Facebook page that I rarely use at Takin the Bump Podcast, and buy my merch. This isn't my merch. This is WWE merch. ProWrestlingTees.com/BtheC Podcast.
Like the quick transition to the social media, sir. I appreciate that. Guys, this is not my t-shirt. This is an AEW t-shirt. But at least I wore an AEW t-shirt for an AEW podcast. Anyways.
You can buy it on the same website.
You can buy it on the same website. You can buy my merchandise at PWT, Pro Wrestling Tees, ProWrestlingTees.com/Beyond the Curtain Wrestling Podcast. You can also follow me on Facebook at Beyond the Curtain Podcast, and follow me on Twitter at BtheCPod18. Guys, I want to give you a round of applause. Thank you. Thank you. We are over 700 followers. 706 at the time of this recording. Thank you guys so much for following, and even if you absolutely do not pay attention at all to my page, at least appreciate you for following. I do try to follow back. Just appreciate you guys' support for that. Even if you're just giving me a quick follow and don't pay attention to my content, still awesome to see that. So I do appreciate you guys for doing that. Now the march is to 800. And after that, 1,000. Boy, could we get to 1,000 before the end of the month? That would be something. Don't think it'll happen, but hey, I like to be surprised and I like to be optimistic. But 700 right now is just absolutely, I'm flabbergasted. So I appreciate you guys doing that. You guys are watching this on our official YouTube channel, Beyond the Curtain Wrestling Podcast, where each and every Thursday you will see content from this guy over here and myself as we upload AEW recaps every Thursday afternoon around 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Sometimes might be a little bit delayed, just technology issues. But appreciate you guys for subscribing, for watching these videos here on YouTube, for liking them, for commenting them, and sharing them. Keep doing what you're doing. Need to get to these numbers here. If you can't match the Twitter at the moment, that's okay. But just share the video out there. Share what you guys liked about either Dynamite, what you didn't like about it, what you like about wrestling in general, what you liked about our content. If you want to see something different or whatnot, let me know. I'm trying to get a little bit more of a constant schedule. I do here with the YouTube channel, but we're going to be trying to doing some stuff on the audio side of things on Anchor, which is what I record on, but it does get sent to your favorite podcast listening devices. So try to do that every other Monday is to put a new episode out. So we should have one up this Monday. I'm not going to tell you the topic on that because you got to listen to it. So stay tuned to the social media channels there, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and so that way you guys will know when I put up the audio-only episode. Subscribe to this channel so you can click that notification bell so you know each and every time a new video is uploaded to this as well. So, unless you have any closing remarks, sir.
I do, actually.
He does. Give me your closing remarks.
My closing remarks. I forgot to mention my podcast, which, why am I here if I can't promote my podcast?
Pointless.
Takin the Bump podcast. I record on Anchor, and I don't have a date specifically, but I try to get at least one episode up a week. Last week, we put in me and Cody. I had him, and I played his role, and he played my role. I think we put that up on Saturday. Saturday or Sunday, I can't remember what day it was. This week, it's looking like it might be another Sunday recording. Last week, we kind of previewed real quick the New Japan Cup. This week, I already have a topic. We are going to talk about... Well, first we're going to wrap up, like we always do, the week of professional wrestling. So we'll talk about things about like WWE and the problems they're having with COVID. And how that might affect AEW and how they... or does it even affect AEW and how they have fans or whatnot. We're going to talk about the severity or the several injuries that AEW has had in the past couple of weeks, both women and men. We're going to talk about a little bit about the first round of New Japan Cup, or the first week of New Japan Cup, which we'll finish watching that first week probably tomorrow or whatnot. But I'll go over that. And then the main topic, we're going to talk about Impact Wrestling and how awesome their marketing is for Slammiversary, and how I think if they continue this, they may give a running for a legitimate threat at like being the second or third best show in wrestling for the week. So stay tuned. I still got more planning, a little bit of planning to do, but that'll be hopefully recorded this Sunday.
Cool. Do it, guys. Check him out. Listen to his podcast on your favorite podcast listening devices for the audio-only episodes. And then, like I said, every other Monday, starting this Monday, there will be an episode audio-only on the Beyond the Curtain Wrestling podcast channels on Spotify, as well as the other podcast listening channels as well. So, for that being said, appreciate you joining in every week as usual here for the recap shows. Appreciate you guys for tuning in this week to Beyond the Curtain Wrestling podcast as we review yet another AEW Dynamite show. We hope to see you guys next week. We know we'll be here. Will you be here? It'll be at the same place, same time, same channel.
Same cow.
Same cow. BtheC will always be here. Somehow, some way, whenever we do finally get our podcast room uploaded,
we'll just have to get a picture.
Somehow, some way, BtheC will be in there. I don't know how, just she will be. Appreciate you guys tuning in. We'll see you guys next week on Beyond the Curtain Wrestling podcast. Hope you guys are staying safe, staying healthy, and practicing your best sanitary guidelines, but also being kind and being generous and loving towards one another. So God bless you guys. We'll see you next week. Take care.